Welcome to episode 3 of Winding Down with the Winseys, where we discuss everything entrepreneurship, love, and the power couples that get to play in this game on a daily basis. And today is off of feedback from episode 2, where Patrick and I actually discussed some of our challenges and some of the things that we had to experience as a couple. And so this episode is a short one, but really just, we were asked to kind of expand a little bit, maybe even give some scenarios and some stories. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And episode 3 really wraps up our story, our series of getting to know the Winseys. Episode 4, we're actually going to be bringing on a couple that's near and dear to our hearts, the Sheltons, to kick off our series of interviews. So before we get started, Jemila Winsey and my partner in crime and love,
Patrick Winsey.
Excellent. And don't forget, you guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, comment as much as you can. And you can find us on Instagram as the Winseys, YouTube as the Winseys, and at Jemila Winsey on Instagram, and at Patrick Winsey on Instagram for Patrick as well. So let's get started. Let's start with what we're drinking. What are we drinking, Pat?
I am actually drinking some beer at the moment just because I'm grown and I want to.
Okay, well, you don't have to explain. The whole point of us is to have these conversations over our favorite beverage. So.
Were you the beer police? I was letting you know. So.
Yeah, I am the beer police. Yeah. He's not really allowed to have beer, you guys. So this is really inexpensive.
Not sure why.
I'm going old fashioned with some bourbon. So cheers to you.
Cheers to you as well.
Okay, so let's dig in a little bit. All right. So one of the things we talked about, and I'm calling this "Who's the Boss?" And so we got a comment saying, basically elaborate a little bit more on our roles and on what we do and who does what and who really is the tiebreaker. Who is the person that makes a decision if we both can't get on the same page?
Yeah. I mean, so, roles and responsibility in any business, in a relationship for that matter, important. So it's all got to jive. It's all got to be aligned to work properly. As it relates to the boss, I like that title, but yeah, like for us, I know, and we jumping right into it.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, that's what it's for.
So when it comes to on the business front, one of the things we agree to is, hey, just the two of us, we have to have a tiebreaker, right? If you're saying, left and I'm saying right, well, we got to pick a direction. We can't make no decision at all. So, in those cases, in those major decisions, I've agreed to defer to you and hold you fully responsible as well. So you can be the boss, but you should take all the responsibility for it as well. So
Pastor was like, well, you're not the boss of me. Well,
which is true.
It's true. I mean, we all have our different roles, just like at home, I have a completely different role, but it's always very interesting. I mean, you guys, it has come down to rock, paper, scissors sometimes. Because even my agreement, my decision may not be one that I'm comfortable making. And yes, sometimes it's come to rock, paper, scissors. I mean, but okay, so tell us the story about when that kind of worked out well for us.
Well, no, I think just in general, I'll freely admit from a strategy, from a visionary standpoint, you definitely come up with the big grand ideas, right? And I think I'm more of the implementer, execution person, which it works well together, right? As it relates to our business, for example, when we decided to go from a small boutique firm to more scale up, right, and go kind of the franchise route, and I was kind of like, okay, that's a big commitment, financially, but also just the responsibility level, because again, it's more people to employ and agents to manage, so to speak. And so just to kind of, if you're just joining us and you haven't, watched the first couple of episodes, we do have a full service real estate brokerage business. So, for both residential and commercial properties, that's our primary business. So, but yeah, so that's, for example, one of them. I think also too, when we were, when we got married, kind of setting the pace for buying our own home, and you're a go big or go home kind of person in general. I'm one of those like, well, hold on, like why do we need all that? Like, why do we need to do this? And so again, I've won't say I let you fly, but I let you be you.
I think you let me fly. I think you let me fly. You let me be great.
I let you be you. And, you know, every now and then when I feel like, hey, you know, let me just kind of stand in the way of this train and let's just kind of make sure we're both comfortable. But I think over the years I've loosened up and, you know, just been a little bit more, what's the word, flexible and just adaptable, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
You know, Pat always he usually says, Jemila writes checks with her mouth that I have to cash. And it's true. It really is yin and yang because I am a visionary. I'm the one that I would go, hey, listen, that's where we're going. I'm as I'm walking towards the goal, right?
Or if we're laying in bed at 1 a.m, it's just, hey, hear me out. You know, I got this crazy idea, but just hear me out.
Yeah, that's truly it. And honestly, if I did not have Pat, or if we didn't have each other, I don't know what we would be today. Because, you know, again, you really need someone on your side that's going to say, okay, I get it, but there has to be someone that plays devil's advocate. I'm thankful that we both have that as a couple, because it could be detrimental knowing how crazy and how fearless I can be sometimes.
And it's kind of hard to have all gas and no pedal, no brake, if you will. So
Exactly. So, you know, the other comment that we received was on how we handle staff, and you know, we have a huge agent base, associates that work in our company. But how do we handle those? I don't like what mommy said, so I'm going to go talk to daddy.
No, I mean, I think like anything else, I think a good leader, and you know, from my perspective, you ask questions, you ask effective questions. I won't liken it to children, what have you, but I try to understand kind of what you know, folks need or what the issue is, what have you, and you know, does that fall within my realm? Now, I don't have a problem making decisions. We're both equipped to make any decision. You know, within the business, because, you know, we're competent in all the areas, but there's some things where I'm kind of like, okay, what impact might that have in your area, so to speak, where you're responsible? But at the same time, it's like, well, have you already talked to Jemila about this? But because I always laugh, it's like, well, you know, you guys, we don't share a brain, and we also don't talk about every little thing, despite what people may think, right? So if you have a conversation with, you know, Jemila, or you just have just a conversation with me, it's not like I go in at the end of the day and just debrief on every little thing that happened and who said what. And it just doesn't work that way, right? And from a staff perspective as well, it's always interesting because, you know, I'm more on the operations side, you know, from a chief operating officer standpoint. So I'm into the, you know, make sure the offices run smoothly, you know, working with the staff, making sure agents, you know, get paid in the back office, and just make sure things run smoothly from that standpoint. I play backup broker when I need to, or when I just need to step in and just make things go smoothly or take some weight off of you. I definitely have no problem doing that. So, but it can become comical, interesting, and I'll protect the innocent.
Yeah, I've got to protect the innocent. But it is true. It's funny because, you know, our staff members and our staff, they have different personalities, and you know, one person may feel that because. One person may feel more drawn towards Patrick, and the other one may feel more drawn towards me, and maybe they don't like what Patrick has said. So they come around and try to ask him the same question a different way, expecting a different response. What a lot of people don't realize is that even though we don't share brain, we don't always know what's going on with each other. We are in tune, and typically I can always tell when, and it's funny. We have seen situations where someone has just flat out lied in a situation, and you know, we don't. We don't call anybody out. We don't do anything like that, which kind of goes to what basically the whole point of, you know, from a staffing perspective, as a married couple, and if you have a big staff, it's very important that they understand that this is a work environment. And we have roles. Patrick has his roles. I have my roles. And just because you work within this framework doesn't mean that you can kind of go off cuff because we're married and you want to basically pit one against the other. I think that's kind of probably the wrong thing to say, but it happens a lot. I thought it was a weird question, but I thought it was a good question because it's happened to us a lot too.
I think when you deal with people, of course, people want what they want, and you know, we're dealing in a business that sometimes can be emotional for people, some high stakes or what have you. And it can be stressful for folks. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, perspective, just understanding, you know, just to steal a Stephen Coveyism, you know, seek first to understand and to be understood. I think is important. And just to also be clear too, our staff is very empowered. Let's just say, hey, let's just think about this. Here's at the end of the day, our agents are our clients. We're here, and we also have end consumers as well. But let's always think about the spirit of doing the right thing. It might not always be perfect. No place is perfect. But I think at the same time, as long as we're making an effort to do the right thing, and what's the let's be effective first. Right,
exactly.
And let's figure it out. There's nothing that can't be fixed, if you will. So.
No, that's the point. I think that's probably the best way to answer it. I probably should have called this a Q&A show, but it's all good. I think you guys get the point. One of the feedback that we received is really a question. It's really two parts to this question. There's a couple in Minnesota, and they wanted to know, how do you know when to go into business with each other? They're sharing a husband and wanted to really do this, and they feel a little apprehensive. He works, she's an entrepreneur. There's always a lot of talk about him joining the company, but he's also feeling left out of a lot of things as well, and it's causing a lot of problems in the house in terms of how they communicate. Right? They don't speak the same language anymore as it relates to work, and it's really just trying to find that. Okay, so but we want to do this together. When do you know when it's time to do that?
Yeah, so one of the things I'll say is, you definitely have to know your mate. And again, even before that, the whole check your egos at the door, so to speak. But I think more so than anything is understanding your partner, right? And married or not, but definitely from a marriage perspective, because there's that intersection of life and business, if you will. But you also have to be able to communicate and coexist there. But I think even more so than that, skill set, right? It's one thing to want to go in business together, but is it the right thing to do, right? So from a standpoint, do you have that skill set that's needed? And then also the temperament.
Right, exactly.
Because again, the business, like we said before is, you don't want to mess up the money trying to be right. And this is the best way. And again, what are our goals as a business, if you will, from a business perspective? And we start separating roles and responsibilities to try to achieve that vision, mission, if you will. What are our values as a business? And everything has to align and jive. And anything that doesn't roll up to that, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
We even said before too, amongst us, to say, hey, if it's best that we bring somebody else in to do certain things or step back in some cases, if that's for the greater good of the business, sometimes you have to consider doing that. And
right.
It's our baby. It's our being co-founders. Sometimes you get, emotionally tied and territorial, but, I'm always, at the end of the day, you just have to figure out,
what works.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, and then just to lay some groundwork to that, if you're both, or if you are out there looking to start a business as a couple and really take it to that next level, like Patrick said, before you even look at your business goals, because hey, like let's say for now you don't have a business, but it's definitely a goal for you guys to build something that's legacy. It's really important that you ask about your life goals as well. Why don't you start with that? Start with where do we want to be in the next 5, 6, 10 years? Right? Do we want to be, in Mexico somewhere sipping on some lattes and watching the beach, or do you want to be in corporate America for as long as it's going to take you and retire? Because those are two different lifestyles. And it's okay. Both lifestyles still take you to where you want to be at the end of it all. The path does not have to be the same. Your goals and your dreams have to align. I think for us, we had such big goals because we have big families that we want to take care of. And what was really important to us is that we were building our dreams together and we were working together because we really do enjoy spending time with each other. And too much time apart for us was causing some issues all by itself. So thankfully we were able to take that and parlay that into a business that we both work in. And, and now it's just really woven into the tapestry of who we are as individuals. Does business, our lives, it's who we are as essentially, which kind of leads me to the next, the last question, which was, there's a theme line between work and romance. Yeah. There are a couple of questions about how we find balance. And there was one about, okay, what are the deal breakers for us? So let's start with you, Patrick. How do you think we find balance, and what is your deal breaker?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's a such thing, as balance. I think you pivot to kind of, what's needed or what's important at that time, right? I mean, I may have, there's always stuff to do, right? There's always priorities, right? But at the end of the day, for instance, I have a boatload of work to do, but at the same time, we haven't had a date night, or it's important to sit down and have time with you and, have dinner and just focus on one another and, not zone out in front of a television or talk across a computer screen or anything like that. Just have our full divided attention because, at the end of the day, we're all we got, right? So, but no, for me, I think you say deal breaker. I think we're still people, because we always say, hey, if all this was to go away, this whole business structure, if you will, entity, what do you have, right? Do you have the, because you have to have you should have a very strong foundation, friendship, relationship, and understanding. But at the same time, you're still people, and you still have, needs, wants, passions, if you will. And I think, as long as you understand what those are, because just like you could look at me and say, okay, you look frustrated, you look irritated. I can tell when you're not yourself, or your energy level is not where it usually is. And I think that's important to understand that. Sometimes you know right away already what it is, but at the same time, I think it's important to acknowledge that, and be empathetic and sympathetic to that, and make sure, your partner is whole. But I think, when you say deal breaker, I think, I'm all about, again, maintaining that respect. First and foremost, I think you have to have that to be able to thrive. And, we've had our challenges when it comes to, staying in our lanes, I guess, if you will, for some things, and there's going to be overlap. And sometimes, either one of us has elected to, make executive decisions on certain things just because things need to be done. But we trust each other. When it's all said and done, I trust your judgment, and vice versa. And, have we always been right? Have we always made the right decision? No, but hey, it's we've learned from it. We've grown from it. Hasn't killed us. So it's all said and done. But, what about you?
No, it's all very similar. I keep mine very simple. At the end of the day, understanding there's a point in our lives where we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we even do this? There's life, there's work, there's the kids, there's this, that, and the other. I mean, is there really true balance? And the truth of the matter is that there really isn't. There is no balance. Something is going to have to suffer. We're living the life of our dreams. This is a life that we've designed, and it comes with some sacrifices, sacrifices that we talked about earlier on, and sacrifices that they're willing to take, but it's not perfect. By any means. I don't think that there are any deal breakers as opposed to, and I guess I should be really clear about what a deal breaker is. A deal breaker means it's really about, hey, you know what? What are you going to pick when it all boils down to it? Are you picking the business, or are you picking yourselves as a couple? Because one couldn't sustain the other, both cannot sustain each other within itself. And, the way that we've looked at it, we've always said, okay, now if everything was to just go to hell and back, we would pick each other first. But we've also agreed that that's not realistic, because we're building an enterprise business that's bigger than us. And it's not just about, how we feel. It's really about, what we've created, and the fact that there are a lot of people who rely on us and trust us. And so that's no longer an option, right? And so it just becomes what it is. So I think that's one of the things that keeps us close to each other, because we love to have fun. We love being around people that we like. So the conversation we had, outside of the fact that sex must always be on the on the table, because that's a deal breaker. Don't laugh. It's true. He knows.
No, I'm just chuckling. I just thought that was
it's always sex.
way out of left field. Yeah.
But the outside of that is the respect factor.
It's just time together.
It's time to, but it's also the respect factor. If I start talking to you like I wouldn't talk to my worst enemy, then, something's going to have to happen.
Well, something's wrong. Yeah.
Something is definitely wrong. So we're very conscious about that. We're very, very conscious about, what that looks like in each other's space and each other's energy. And we let each other be each other because we're human beings first.
Yeah. And I think, back to the whole, balance or whatever.
Sex is number one on your plate too.
I think we've kind of beat that dead horse, so to speak.
It's not a dead horse.
But okay. Gotcha. So I think that, of course, intimacy and just time together, you always have to have that. But I think at the end of the day, we're talking about, hey, choosing one or the other. There's some days that, hey, we choose each other. I mean, some things balls do get dropped, right? Yeah. I know I have some time sensitive things that got to get done, but hey, you have to have date night, and it's just, that's the most important thing right now to me.
Yeah. So remember when we were we had like all these things to do. There was like 2,500 deadlines, and we were like, you know what? Book a room at the Marriott Marquis. We'd be gone for the weekend. And and that was it. We just didn't even Well,
sometimes you just have to, from a mental and emotional well-being, because it does take its toll on you. It can, right? And so, but it's important to do that. It's important to do those staycations, but at the end of the day, I think that, you want your partner to be, happy. You want them to be fulfilled. There's other business responsibilities that you have to meet as well. So it's just this whole, balancing act, I guess, if you will. So
it is a balancing act. It is a true balancing act. So those were all the questions that we had. Thank you guys for sending those in. Really, really appreciate just how you've basically taken to us. And please, if there are any challenges that you guys want to discuss or things that you want us to talk about, definitely hit us up on DM or send a message to the Winseys at thewinseys.com. But more than likely, continue to support. Definitely subscribe to this channel, Winding Down with the Winseys on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at the Winseys, and Jemila Winsey and Patrick Winsey as well. And if you guys are interested, if you're a couple out there that want to be showcased, let us know. Showcased. My Nigerian accent just kicked in. Let us know. We'd love to bring you on the show. You don't necessarily have to be in the Houston area. We are traveling all over the country to showcase power couples or couples in this business. I believe there are a lot of people that will be blessed by it.
Yeah. So I'm definitely excited to where we're going. Our episode 4 is we have a power couple, like we talked about at the beginning. So, absolutely.
And thank you for that segue. So next episode 4, we're going to be bringing on Kevin and Aisha Shelton. They are the owners of Park Street Homes as well as other developments around there. An amazing power couple here in Houston. They're friends of ours, and we're just really blessed to know them. And so I believe that you guys will be as well. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about all about them, their business, same things that we've been talking about, as well as their, what they're currently up to and what's next for them. So,
life and, family and just all that intersecting.
So anything else you want to add? Because I'm done talking.
That's the first time I've heard that. I think that's pretty much it for me on that. But
okay. Well, see you guys again. Thank you guys for joining us. And this wraps up Getting to Know the Winseys on Winding Down with the Winseys. We'll see you soon. Peace.
All right, take care.